Salam alaikum, everyone. Wow, it's fantastic to be here. It's almost as many people here as there are people in Norway. I would like to speak Arabic tonight, shway Arabiya, and my Arabic is perfect, and I add bukra fil mishmish, so I'm not going to speak Arabic. Okay? I wish I wasn't here. I wish I was in Gaza, because that's why I came. We came because we wanted to go to Gaza and to support our brothers and sisters in Gaza, and we have been waiting for more than 4 weeks in Cairo. We've been working, but we will not give up because we are going to Gaza. And me and the team from Norway, we are very eager to get in and to support the healthcare system. We have a mission supported by the Norwegian government. We got $1 million for our mission. We always go to Gaza when there is bombing from the Israeli occupation forces. And it's saying in Gaza that when everybody leaves, then the Norwegians coming. I like that. I like that. Ish? No? Oh, okay. So now I'm getting dressed up for the cameras, and excuse my little, I'm not going to take off my shirt. So thank you, brother, for this one. And if we can have my slides, and we can take down the light, because I'm not the important person tonight. It is what we are going to talk about. I'm going to give a lecture. It's about 3 hours. Can you take that? Tamam. I love it. This is my T-shirt, the back of my T-shirt. I bought it in Al-Quds 3 years ago. I go to Gaza 2 to 3 times every year. And I always travel via Al-Quds, beautiful Al-Quds. And this, for you who speak Arabic, you know what it reads. It reads, Kuluna Gaza. We are all Gaza. And I want you to say that. Kuluna Gaza. Wow, that would never have happened in Norway, because we are very cold and we are very timid and we don't speak up at all. Fantastic to be here and hear the brothers and the sisters and the slogans and the power, because you are a people that showed us that colonialism can be defeated. That's what you showed us. That's what you showed us. And you also showed us that apartheid is no future. Apartheid can be beaten, and we can have a good life together. That's what you showed us. And we will continue to learn from that. You have to switch to my slides. Yalla, Habibi. Shukran. So I am extremely happy to be here tonight. I'm extremely happy to meet the fighters. Let's give a hand to the fighters who were leading the struggle. Habibi. Wow. Wow. So after 4 weeks in Cairo, doing 1 million interviews, and we spent $1 million on medical equipment going in, and it's very difficult to get equipment in, and it's even more difficult to get people in, because Israel has a complete siege of Gaza. They sealed it completely off. No water, no food, no fuel, no medicines, no medical equipment, no nothing. They are going to slowly starve 2.2 million people inside Gaza as they are bombing them, as they are killing them, as they are bleeding them, and as they are scaring to death Gaza's 1.1 million children. And this happens not in 1423, not in 1123, not in medieval time, but it happens in 2023 in front of our eyes. We can hardly believe it. We can hardly believe it. But I tell you what, we are the stronger part. Good people all over the world are saying, no, we do not accept this. We want a free Palestine. We want to lift the siege of Gaza, and we will not give up until there is a free Palestine. You agree? Yes. Let me start way back. I'm not going to talk for 3 hours. I'm going to talk for 2 hours. No, maybe one. This is 1946. It will be a bit of a history lecture for the young ones, the Habibi and the Habibtis. This is the good old Indian leader. He was also quite a revolutionary guy, by the way. And he said in 1946, 2 years before the Nakba, he said, why should the Jews depend upon American money or British arms for forcing themselves on an unwelcome land? Why should they resort to terrorism to make good their forcible landing in Palestine? They saw it. The smart, the clear, the morally apt people, they saw it in 46 and 48. Einstein said the same, the Jew. And this is not a new thing that we are seeing now. This is an endless story. This did not start on that October 7th. It started at least in 1948. And if you go to Al Jazeera and you watch the documentary called Palestine 1920 by my good friend Ashraf Masharawi from Gaza, Palestine 1920, watch that. It tells the story all the way back. And if you want to have an update on Zionism, colonialism, and the potential for a Palestinian liberation now, go and watch the lecture to our friend, Professor Ilan Pappe, which he gave in Berkeley 4 days after the attack started. Ilan Pappe, it's on YouTube, and it's titled Crisis in Zionism, an Opportunity for Palestine. So this started a long time ago, and many of you are veterans of the struggle. And I'd like to focus on, hey, Ish Malak, ya Bibi. Ish Malak.
We're not picking up the slides.
Wow, that's horrible. We fixed it all. Wait. Oh, you're not picking up the slides. I thought you were professionals. Let's go there. Wait. Let's go there. You have it now? No? Okay, we do the simple thing. We disconnect. This is what my mother always did. She turned off the light and turned it on again. And then, let's see. And now you have to do your switch. Ah, shitty. Okay. That's my screensaver. Those are kids from Gaza. These are my children in Gaza. And now we're going to go move one step further and see if we can get my slides. And there we go. There. Anybody who can? That's what I'm doing. That's exactly what I'm doing. Yeah, go ahead, come up. That's fine. I'm doing F7. It's PowerPoint.
PowerPoint.
Here we go. MashaAllah. But then, stop, slide stop. No, I'm starting there. See? Isn't that giving it?
There we
No?
go. Next slide.
It's blocking. I think Mossad was here just before I came.
Try to duplicate the screen.
There we are. Here we go. Now back up. Okay, now we got Gandhi. Okay, Gandhi, he's with us with his soul. This should never have happened. And I want to talk to you, first of all, about the brave healthcare workers in Gaza. I'm not standing here and saying that, oh, we have to go because they can't do it. That's the old colonial attitude from Europe. That's the Orientalism, you know. Oh, they can't do it. We have to have the humanitarian mission down there so they can manage. I'm not part of the relief industry. My mission is solidarity. And when I go there, I go to work alongside with and under the leadership of the Palestinian health workers. This This is one of my favorite pictures from the horrible attacks in 2014. It's in the middle of the night. There is a lull in the bombing. We have a little break. It was Ramadan, so we were also eating a little bit in the night. And you have heard their names. This is Dr. Sara Al-Sakka. She has a lot on TikTok for the young ones. You've seen her. She's the first Palestinian female surgeon. She just got her diploma from England. She's the first. She's fantastic. This is my brother, Dr. Marwan Abu Sada. Marwan Abu Sada has been the head of surgical department for many years in Shifa. He's now the head of the International Cooperation Department in Ministry of Health. I hope, I pray, and I beg all good powers that he is still alive, because he is in Shifa now. He is in Shifa now. And dare you kill him, I will come and kill you. Dare you kill him, I will come and kill you. Because he is, not that I don't care about all the others, but they are going after the leaders, you know? And he, shh, don't tell anybody, I think he is Hamas. He might be. And then everyone can kill him, right? No, they cannot. I'll tell you why. This is Dr. Sobiskeik, the previous head of Shifa Hospital, British surgeon, a fantastic leader. He was my leader during the bombardment in 2009 and also 2012 and 14. And a fabulous doctor. His daughter, Nashwa Skeik, is also a doctor. She's now working in WHO headquarters in Geneva. And then there are some other good people. And it's such a wonderful moment. And the point is that I am not the person to look at in this picture, because the heroes are the medical staff and the volunteers and the leaders and the people of Gaza. They are the heroes. They are the heroes. And as we are speaking, they are standing tall against two of the most mighty military powers in the world, the United States and Israel. And they don't give up. They don't yield. They don't surrender. They are carrying our dignity on their shoulders, precisely because they stand tall and they say that we will not betray our people and we will fight for the value of each single life in our community. As we are speaking, and I just got a message, I'll take that afterwards. So the local Palestinian staff, they never give up. They are the heroes. They never give in. They never leave their patients and their people. This slide, I made it after 2014. And more than ever, this slide is pertinent to the situation today. You have all heard it. The Israeli commanders calling on phone to the medical directors of Mustashfa Al-Quds, Mustashfa, take the patients out, not in the streets, but in the bombed, nothing to walk on thing, and to evacuate and get rid of all the patients and all the staff. What do they say? We're not leaving. We're standing with our patients. We have the right on our side. We gave an oath when we became doctors, nurses, paramedics, whatever, to stay with our patients. And I've been thinking a lot these 4 weeks, what kind of internal morality do these commanders in the Israeli army have? What kind of internal morality do the commanders and the units and the soldiers and the Ministry of Defense have when they think that because they label somebody, something they like to label them, then they can just kill them or they can just attack their hospitals? And you know all what the explanation is. It is deep-rooted. People are not having the same value as them, and this has a name, and the name is apartheid. That's what Israel is all about. And your great leader, Nelson Mandela, he said in 1962, you all remember that quote, don't you? The 1962 quote. He said The country leaders should do well, therefore, to reflect upon the words of Nelson Mandela in 1962 during his trial before the apartheid court in South Africa. He said, "No power on earth can stop an oppressed people determined to win their freedom. History punishes those who resort to force and fraud to suppress the claims and legitimate aspirations of the majority of the country's citizens. Government violence can do only one thing, and that is to breed counter-violence." He was right. He was absolutely right. And we need to remember these words today when we are going to put ourselves in the right position. Because the media and the discussions are flooded with this term terrorism and Hamas and Palestinian terrorists. Listen, I don't support Hamas. I don't support Fatah. I don't support Jihad or PFLP. I and the Norwegian Solidarity Movement, we support the Palestinian people and their right to resist occupation, also with arms. Also with arms. Of course, they have to respect the Geneva Convention and the rules of war and not attack civilians. I'm against any attack on civilians, and I think that people who break the international law, they have to be taken to court and be investigated and punished if they have done any war crimes. But the point is that the Palestinian people has the right to fight occupation. And that's anchored in international law. That's why the West is so eager to come with billions and tons of weapons to Ukraine. When they are invaded, you can fight. We'll give you weapons. We'll give you money. We'll give you political support. And it took less than a week after the Russian invasion of eastern Ukraine before Europe, EU, and the United States had imposed massive sanctions on Russia. How long did it take to impose sanctions on Israel? Has not yet happened. And this double standard is frightening, and it is very worrisome because it is showing us that the world is much more racist still than we hoped. Why is there so strong support for the anti-occupation struggle in Ukraine? Well, maybe because the people there are blonde, white-skinned and blue-eyed like me. It's very uncomfortable to think about it, but that's it. And the Palestinians are discussing the double standards of the West all the time. And in Cairo, all my Arab friends are discussing it, and they say we have lost complete confidence in Europe and in the United States. Everything that has been done to have some sort of reconciliation between the global South and the global North after 9/11 and all of that has been completely smashed by Israel in these weeks that we have passed. I mean, this would never have happened in Norway, I tell you. So I've been working in Gaza. My first travel as a doctor to Gaza was in 1989. I worked there during the two intifadas, and I've been there ever since. And I work with many things. I research, I teach at university. I work with development of the healthcare. And I go there every time there is attacks on Gaza. I know Gaza well. It's part of my heart. My friends in Gaza, it's my second home. I've friends there who have been my friends for 20 years and more. And it is really a place that have taught me a lot about life and justice. So Gaza is siege, it's hard living, but it is also a phenomenous will to resist and survive. Gaza is sumud. You know sumud? Arab word, it means steadfastness. It's part of the Palestinian virtue, of the Palestinian soul. Gaza resists and Gaza exists. Nobody is going to exterminate or finish off Gaza. It will not happen. Gaza will have victory. Gaza will have victory. And this important picture, maybe you recognize it, that's from the Great March of Return a few years ago, when all the societies and all types of parties and organizations in Gaza said, after a student actually suggested it, let's go to the fence every Friday and protest. The West wants us to be non-violent protesters. Let's do that. And they did that for 1.5 years. Every Friday they went. I was there. What did Israel do? They posted more than 100 snipers in camouflage tents, and every Friday when people came, they started shooting. And where did they shoot? To kill? In the heart? No. They did the same as during the Intifada. They are shooting to the knees, to the ankles, to the elbows. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of young girls and boys have been losing their mobility because this is the tactic of the occupiers. It is to inflict as much pain as possible, to tell anyone who dares raise their voice, a poem, a stone, a slingshot, a burning tire, a Kalashnikov, any one of them will be punished with an immediate life sentence or some sort of inflicted pain. They don't give up, they continue their struggle. And now, my friends, I'm not going to repeat all the painful images that you have seen, but I wanted to start with this tribute to my colleagues, this tribute to the Palestinian people, this tribute to a people who do not yield under pressure, who really do not kneel to the colonial occupiers, and who is actually telling the world that there is another path, there is the path of resistance. And I'm absolutely sure that what you managed here during your struggle is a huge inspiration. We all know the quote from Mandela, our freedom is incomplete without the freedom of the Palestinian people. That's posted all over Gaza. That's posted all over Gaza. And we shall not rest until Gaza is free. But I do not want to paint this picture of a suffering, begging, pitiful Palestine or Gaza, because that's exactly the picture that the colonizers want. They want, now Europe is saying, maybe we should provide a little humanitarian help. Maybe it would be nice. Maybe we should send some water to the thirsty children in Gaza. Wouldn't that look nice? And they get the Israelis to open the gates of Rafah this much. And they allow in 20 trucks. And it's reported all over, 20 trucks. You know what? Gaza has been under siege for 16 years before this happened. And during these 16 years, the average need for supplies into Gaza was approximately 400 trucks per day in periods without bombing. Now you can do your math. 4 weeks without any supply. We have a backlog of between 10,000 and 15,000 truckloads just to get up to null. And they are letting in 3 to 4 to 5 trucks a day, and everybody's, they are getting support. It's a sham. And as my friend, my sister said, every truck that goes from El Arish into Rafah cannot go into Rafah, straight north. They have to go east to Khmer Shalom, which is the truck entry point controlled by Israel. There, the Israelis are going through every box, filtering through everything and taking out what they don't think the Palestinians should have. Among other, you know what they take out? They take out all anesthetic drugs. Can you imagine? And this is not a rumor. I know the source. I know it's true. Can you imagine what kind of cruel sadism that is? And I'd like to correct one thing that has been said in media, that Palestinian doctors are doing major surgery without anesthesia. They do not. Full stop. Full stop. I can assure you I've been there during bombing. I know that we and they adhere to absolutely the same ethical standards as we do here and back in Norway and anywhere. It is true that some minor procedures like dressing a wound or fixing a fracture. Why do you take off my picture? Why do you do this, Habibi? They can see me. I told you, I'm not the hero, they are the hero, so I need the slides up and not me, for heaven's sake. Thank you. No, that's me. I want to go to Gaza. So they don't do any surgery, any big surgery, major surgery without general anesthesia, but they may have to do some minor dressings, maybe some minor suture, because they don't have local anesthetics. But who made that situation? Who was it who denied them medicine? Before this last attack, the essential drug list, which is a WHO list of drugs that you need to serve a population, they only had 40% of the essential drug list in Gaza because of the siege, before this happened. And now, of course, they're out of most of the drugs. And we have seen the attacks on healthcare. This is from outside Shifa Hospital when the Israelis bombed the ambulance convoy going with very, very selected patients who were accepted by Egypt to go to Egypt. And they bombed it. First when they were driving down the road, and then they returned back to Shifa, and they bombed it and killed around 14, I think was the final number. I've been in these convoys during the attacks. I've been sitting in one of these convoys on the way to Rafah, and there were 2 Israeli tanks on the side. We were coordinated with ICRC and everything. And then they turned the big barrels, the big cannons towards us, and they followed us, and suddenly they started shooting at the convoy. They smashed the ICRC car in front of us. He got injured. We turned around, got back to Gaza, luckily unharmed. They don't care about regulations. They don't care about appointments. They don't care about anything. And you all have seen the pictures from Shifa. And I fear that this very night that we are gathered here may be the last night of Shifa Hospital. I just got a message from my dear brother, Dr. Youssef Aburish, who is the Minister of Health, the Deputy Minister of Health in Gaza. And he sent me this just 20 minutes ago. He said, they are going to enter Shifa Hospital within few minutes. We have to stop it. We can't stop it tonight. But this is extremely worrisome because we don't know how many they will kill, how many they will capture and torture, and how many of the remaining patients in Shifa will die from maltreatment and from the lack of oxygen and lack of electricity. So we should almost stay up all night and follow the development and discuss what is happening. Okay, I agree, I think I agree. Maybe you're shouting the same as I'm saying here. You are needed now. You are needed now. Every one of you is a power. Every one of you is a force. Every one of you young shababs can change the world. And that's what the comrades did when you were fighting and winning over apartheid and showed the world. I grew up in a middle-class family in Norway. My mother was a nurse. My father was an engineer. We never had South African fruit cocktail in my home. My mother said, we're not going to buy anything from South Africa. And she made an impression on me that has followed me the rest of my life. I have it in my blood, in my bones, that I should not support apartheid. I had to learn what it was. I didn't understand the word. But she taught me, and you are going to teach your children what is happening in Gaza. Okay. And when I say you are needed now, I want you to look yourself in the mirror when you get home, and you're going to be very honest to yourself. I tell you what, I feel helpless against this enemy, against this evil. I have a hard time getting up in the morning in Cairo because I know I'm going to open my mobile and there's going to be like 40 WhatsApp messages, 20 of them from Gaza, and the one more horrific than the other. And I don't know how long I can stand it. And then I think, if they can, I can. If they can, I can. They have to, I have to. I have to be a force. I have to do something. I have to give some interviews. I have to spread information. I have to do something. All of you, look around there. It's an army of good hearts. It's an army of power. This is the army where we actually can show the leaders that you are the weak part and we are the strong part. And then we can defeat them. And that's the point. We can defeat them and we will defeat them. Yay, yay. I'm so eager now. The two most beautiful words in my language is love and solidarity. Those are the two most precious qualities in human life, I think. Love, because we can embrace each other and take care of each other and make the world and life a good thing. Solidarity, because we all will need it one day, and because it's one of the best things that we as humans can provide and share and give to somebody else. Somebody down on their knees for disease or maybe poverty or maybe a crackdown, whatever, temporarily. Somebody needing our support during a strike, somebody needing our practical help, or somebody like the people of Palestine and the people of Gaza needing our active solidarity and our active action. And I love this quote from Samora Machel. He says, solidarity is not an act of charity. It's an act of unity between allies fighting on different terrains towards the same objective. When we fight for Palestine in Norway or in South Africa, we are actually also fighting for a better society for ourselves and our people in our life. We want freedom, we want justice, we want equality, we don't want racism, we don't want apartheid, and we do certainly not want colonialism. And this solidarity is precisely what the world is needing now. So many good quotes from the great African leaders. I don't have the same amount of quotes from European leaders, I'm sorry to say. Very sorry to say. I'm a child of European colonialism. I'm a child of Orientalism. And it's taken me years and years and years and years to wash my brain and my spinal fluid of these attitudes, these white reflexes, like, oh, we have to go and help them, and all of that shit. So no, really. And we need to take a critical look on also how the relief industry has maintained the colonial grip on the global south through this, oh, we'll send some convoy with help, you know? You see what I mean? And Gaza is the perfect example, because in Gaza, there is no a handful of brave, but a handful of foreign doctors and nurses. They are doing the job themselves. And nobody can do it better than them, because they are world-class experts in what we call mass casualty. When a hospital, a healthcare system is overwhelmed by patients from an earthquake, from a flooding, or from Israeli bombing. They stand up, they know how to do it, and they do it. They do it. So they don't need us, but solidarity is another quality of the support, because that means respect, shoulder to shoulder, and supporting their struggle on their premises, under their leadership. That's a totally different thing. So they attack healthcare, they attack schools, they attack universities, they attack the Palestinian people. They bombed Al-Azhar University 10 days ago. Not much noted in Western media. I'll let them bomb a few. I mean, the universities. I tell you a secret. It's a Hamas university. So they had to bomb it. In fact, it's not Hamas University. It's a Fatah University, mostly governed by Ramallah and the West Bank. And I'll come back to that stupid metaphor, because it is not about Hamas. Don't use the word. Change that word out of your vocabulary and be principled and talk about Palestinian resistance, because that's what it is all about. As I said, and now I may lose control because I have so much emotions from the last 4 weeks, and I'm so outraged and so scared and so afraid that these people will be killed, that forgive me if I start weeping. It's not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of emotions. And we should never, ever be ashamed of our passion. We should never be ashamed of having strong feelings, because that's driving the world towards a better place. So cherish your compassion, brother. Keep shouting down in the corner. Yes. I talk to Dr. Youssef almost every day. I've known him for 15 years. He's a fantastic guy. He's a pediatrician, but he's been the Minister of Health in Gaza for the better part of 10 years under very difficult circumstances. He called me the other day, November 8th, 3:15 in the afternoon, and he said, "There is no more time, Dr. Mads. There is no more time." And I'll tell you what he said. But first, who is he? Yeah, and that's the point. No, I'm not going to let you see him first, because this spooky thing, Hamas, it doesn't have a face. You never see the people. Are they humans, or are there some sort of phantoms coming up from the graves and eating people alive in the night? What is it, I'll tell you what they are. They are blood and flesh, hearts and brains, just like us. And this is my hero. This is Dr. Youssef Abarish. Give him a big hand. Yay. And again, the hero in this picture is not this white man coming from fat, rich, spoiled Norway with a red passport. I can go wherever I want. I get loose everywhere. Nobody stops me. I don't even got a visa this morning in Johannesburg airport. The hero here is, of course, Dr. Youssef. He's a devoted Muslim. He has a Syrian wife, and he has a bunch of beautiful children. Every time I go to Gaza, like here, we have dinner, and his wife's food, Syrian food, mashallah, it's just fantastic. And I have a lot of discussions with his children. I have to tell you one story, because it was last year we had a goodbye party with ice cream. And this guy is, I'm Amo Mats, okay, Uncle Mats. And he is very preoccupied with me. And we had this ice cream, coffee to say farewell. I had some few gifts. They had made some gifts to me. And he said, I have a question. And I saw that Youssef got a little bit uneasy. And the son said, how is it possible that Dr. Mads, who is such a good person, is not a Muslim? How is that possible? Okay, so Dr. Youssef was a little, now, like he would say, he is a Muslim, he just doesn't know it, right? But we discussed, and we had a discussion, and I said, well, no, I'm not a Muslim. I'm a romantic agonist. I believe in this and that. Sometimes a little bit of Allah, a little bit of God, a little bit of nature, but I'm not a Muslim. And then his sister, the big one, 18, she said, after having listened to our discussions, she said, I don't care about if he is a Muslim or not. I just want to see him in paradise. So when your speech, man, can you take me on a crash course in how to give a real appeal? That was fantastic. When you said we had to boycott, no, it was the BDS guy said we have to boycott Puma. The loudspeaker was a little bit muddy, so I thought he said we have to boycott humor. And I got a little bit uneasy about how serious this campaign in South Africa is, because I love humor, and we need humor. But the point about that little story about his son, Muhammad, I want to make a point. The struggle for Palestine, the solidarity with Gaza these days, it's not a Muslim cause. It's not a Christian cause. It's not a Catholic cause. It is a human cause for every one of us. For every one of us. And when the Palestinian people in Gaza, also in the West Bank, are trying to stand up, and they forget about their diversity and their political struggles because they are like one fist fighting this bombing and all this death, we should do the same. Brothers and sisters, let's put aside political discussions and disagreements, and let's be like one fist in the solidarity work and in the BDS work. We need unity more than ever. More than ever. So he says, we are still surviving, but we are miserable. There is no bread, no food, no water in the hospitals, just essential services. Most of the time, no administration due to lack of electricity. Most of our staff have not had a piece of bread in days. And you saw when this was? This was on the, yeah, right. So it's a week ago, almost a week ago. And he said, we tried to have a minimal amount of water. Situation is so miserable, extreme situation. We continue to provide service, but no medicines. And I said, what can you do for the injured children, the majority? And he said, we pray for them. That's what we do. We pray for them. And his voice cracked. I never heard that man's voice cracking before. So this is what they are up to. And now he's saying that Israeli occupation soldiers are coming into Shifa. We have seen there's been fighting around the whole day today, and they've been killing nurses with snipers through the windows, but they are still there, and it is chaotic. Yeah. So he says there is no time to lose, and I believe him that that is the fact. It's overcrowded. Before this last incursion around Shifa with the tanks, there were 50,000 internally displaced persons in Shifa, 50,000. Imagine one of your nice hospitals here in Johannesburg having 50,000 refugees coming, and then they lose the electricity and the water and the medical supplies and the food. And then you have 1,000 more wounded. Can you imagine? I would be lying in the corner and weeping. I wouldn't be able to stand up to it. How can I stand up to it? Because I work with my Palestinian brothers and sisters, because they give me energy, because they don't give up, I don't give up. But it is an absolutely horrific situation. And you see how they are putting 2, 3, 4 patients in each bed. This is on the November 8th. Yeah, and then I'm going to show you 2 videos. This is Dr. Youssef. Can you take down the light even more? This is Dr. Youssef walking with his phone as light in the corridors of Shifa Hospital medical block. This is what a hospital looks with 50,000 refugees. These are the feet of a leader. These are the feet of Dr. Youssef Aborish, looking after his people. And this is some light at the nurses' working station, not giving up.
While this environment is full of displaced people, and they are trying, actually, they are trying in a very difficult situation, trying to reach the difficult rooms where a lot of cases are inside, and you can't see what is going on the ground. We just move between displaced people who are everywhere. I'm trying just to move between displaced people while even unable. So the بالضبط سؤال مش هصور كافي بس على الإضاءة عشان I'm just trying for a while just to be able to move. And you can see people there everywhere.
And all the people you see here are people who have lost their homes to Israeli bombing. There are currently 1.6 million internally displaced Palestinians in Gaza without a home, without shelter, without blankets, without water, without food. More than 1 million people, and the international relief organizations are nowhere to be seen because Israel is blocking any entrance to Gaza. The bread is almost absent. This is bread on a bloody trailer that has been carrying injured and wounded to Shifa. Let me see now. I have a new pointer. So is this new? No, this is not new. This is a paper we wrote in the famous British medical journal, The Lancet, on January the 17th in 2009, when we had been 3 weeks in Shifa during the Operation Cast Lead. You remember that? Cast Lead was horrible. And we had a subtitle there saying Living Hell. My point is that Israel has been doing this for many decades, attacking healthcare systems. So these sceneries are not new. I remember these scenes from 2009 and 12 and 14 and whatnot. And I also remember the immense capacity to improvise, to find solutions, to treat patients on the floor. I remember one of my most graphic experiences was in 2009 when I think we had 22 patients who needed life-saving surgery immediately in general anesthesia. There are 8 operating rooms in Shifa at that time. And what did they do? Well, they just put 2 operating tables in each room, and we could double from 8 to 16 operations. And I was doing anesthesia in 2, and there were 2 surgical teams working. Simple as that. I would never have thought of it. So they are absolutely masters of improvisation, and they find solutions all the time. They don't give up. And they still treat patients as we are speaking. And you've all seen the 38 neonates that had to be taken out of the incubators. Why? Because there was a natural disaster? No. Because the Israeli government, with full support from the United States, decided to shoot and damage the oxygen supply system, turn off the electricity, deny them fuel for the generators, deny them food and water. It's all man-made. It's not an earthquake. It's 100% planned and made by the Israeli army and the Israeli government to make and inflict as much pain as possible and kill as many as possible of the Palestinian people in Gaza. So the systematic attacks on Palestinian healthcare, do you need some numbers? I'll give you some numbers. And I'm sick and tired of every interview I give, if it is CNN or BBC or Al Jazeera or anyone. They start, and even today we had a bunch of interviews. The nice journalists, they say, Dr. Mads, you have been working in Shifa. Is it a military command and leader center? Is there a military command center under Shifa for Hamas? I've been working in Shifa for 16 years and during all these attacks. I've never seen a soldier. I've never seen a high-ranking political leader from the resistance. I've seen the Minister of Health, and he should be there. But this is ridiculous because the point is that Israel doesn't need an excuse to bomb Shifa because that's their modus operandi. That's what they do every time there is an attack. Look at this. Look at this. No, wrong way again. Here, you're going to see some very updated UN numbers. You probably can see it, but it's from yesterday's health cluster report, which is the report that comes from the health cluster in the United Nations. To your left here is the map of Gaza, and all the black dots are hospitals that are not functioning. All the orange dots or yellow dots are hospitals that are partially functioning. Okay? And let me see. So if you look at that map, yes, now it's right. And if you look at the number of hospitals over the last 4 weeks, we start over here on the 8th of October. The yellow bars are hospitals that are functioning, and the gray bars are hospitals that are out of function because of the attacks. What do we see? We see a systematic line. Day by day, they are attacking more and more hospitals. It's not about Shifa. It's about attacking the complete social fabric of Palestine, of Gaza, to erase any sign of human civilized society, and to erase the presence of Palestinian life, not only killing, but also bringing down the social fabric of Gaza. And this graph has been known to the media for 4 weeks, and still they keep talking about Shifa Hamas, Shifa Hamas, Shifa Hamas. What's wrong with them? Can't they read? Don't they see that this is a pattern? Don't they see that this is deliberate? And if you want these numbers, I'm very happy to give them to you, and you can find it. We'll find a website so you can get all these numbers. This is from yesterday. And if you look at the numbers of attacks on healthcare, oh, but Israelis, they don't attack healthcare. It's only some, mismanaged rocket. No, they've been attacking healthcare systematically over the last 40 years. I was in Beirut in 1982 during the siege and bombardment of Beirut, which ended with the Sabra and Shatila massacre. It was horrible. It was my first experience as a very young anesthesiologist, very naive, very much thinking about, I can go there and be a doctor and I can help with solidarity and we will win the struggle in Beirut. No, we didn't. In fact, we barely saved our lives. But I learned one thing, and that is that the Israeli war machine, they take no precautions. They were bombing schools, hospitals, ambulances, and they did this tactique of first bombing, and then the good people came to try to rescue those in the rubble. They came back and bombed them also. Oh yeah. They bombed bakeries, they bombed water pipelines, sewage systems. I got hepatitis, shigellosis, and giardiasis because we didn't have water. That was in 1982, and there were absolutely no accountability for those crimes, nothing. And it ended with the butcher of Beirut, Ariel Sharon, who had the responsibility for the Sabra and Shatila massacre. These are the numbers of Israeli attacks on healthcare system and resources the last few weeks. Starts down here to the left, here. Those are the first days. And can you see, is it exactly the same pattern? Yes. So through these 4 weeks, they have actually attacked 152 healthcare structures in Gaza, and they have attacked 158 healthcare structures in the West Bank. Why don't the media write about this? These are UN numbers. It's not something I invented. And they killed, in Gaza so far, they have killed 198 health workers. 31 doctors, 68 nurses, 20 paramedics, 26 pharmacists, and 14 lab staff. Does anybody talk about that? Does CNN and BBC talk about that? Well, they start to talk a little bit about it. But the pattern, my point is the pattern. Look at this. They start here and they increase the attack every day. 8th of October, 15th of October, 22nd of October, 5th of November, 12th of November. Every day there are more attacks, both in the West Bank and in Gaza. A steady tactique of undermining every security network that the Palestinian people have in the West Bank and in Gaza. Because what is their goal? Their goal is, I think, to pressure, to scare, and to intimidate and to destroy so much that they can push the Palestinian people in Gaza into the Sinai Desert, and they can push the Palestinian people in the West Bank into Jordan. It will never happen, because they will resist and we will resist. I'm soon finished. I know you're tired. Do you need some cases? I'll give you a few cases, just 2. When you have nothing, you must find something. I have a very good friend, Dr. K. I will not name his full name because of security reasons. He works in one of the hospitals in the south of Gaza. You know, the Israelis said, would you please leave your homes because we're going to bomb them? And would you please leave, not please, I'm being ironic. You have to go to the south because that's safe. How many of the killed the last 2 weeks have been killed in the north and in the south? Between 40 and 47% of the killed have been killed in the south. It's a full lie. It's not safe at all. And they're shooting. Dr. K, he tells me, and he works in the south, told me yesterday, we are getting more and more cases with gunshot to the legs. And I said, Ish, why? And he says, because all these refugees who are walking the main road along the shore down to the south, when the Israeli soldiers see them, they shoot at their legs. Can you imagine? Completely unarmed people they have forced them to go to the south, and when they do it, they shoot them in the legs. This girl had a very severe burn. She was taken to his hospital. They didn't have the needed equipment to do the proper treatment. They don't have local anesthetic. They don't have disinfectants. 100% of the wounds, he says, are infected. But they find a way. They find a way. She has pain, but they find a way. They don't have electricity. Normally, you would put up some fans to cool down the wounds, the burns, okay? And they would put on some nice gel, to cool down the burns. She will need lots of transplantations. Here is their solution. It's the human fan. Her mother using a piece of cardboard to fan her daughter so that she can ease her pain a little bit. And Dr. K, who filmed, he comes by and he says, you're clever, and they laugh a little bit, and this is the sumud. This is the practical resistance. And I'm showing you one film you might have seen from outside Shifa Hospital. Which date is it today? It's the 15th? Yeah, so this is from yesterday, I believe. They said, the Israelis said, oh, come out with the white flag and your hands in the air. People do that and they shoot them. This is from outside Shifa yesterday. He's carrying his dead brother, I believe, killed. This is just outside Shifa. And there are lying, killed people all around. Killed people, killed people. And he hears the explosions. You can see the tons of rubble, and you see the evacuees walking there with their, whatever they have. You see the civilian cars being shot to pieces, white flags, and what awaits them in the south is more death and more suffering. And the numbers needed, well, every day in the afternoon, the Minister of Health spokesperson in Gaza, he presents a press release with all the numbers. This is fed into the UN system. The UN, they trust the numbers because they know how they are collecting the numbers. I trust the numbers because I'm a scientist. I do research and I have to find out, are these numbers right? I went to the office where they collect the numbers. I checked it and I checked the methodology and it was perfect. So these numbers come out every afternoon. And you can see this is from the 8th of November, the precise number of martyrs, 10,569, and half of them children, or 4,300. Women, elderly, and 193 health personnel. I'll give you a very easy number to remember. During the last 4 weeks, the Israeli occupation army has killed or wounded 40,000 Palestinians in Gaza. They have killed 12,000. No, excuse me. They have injured 28,000, and they have killed 12,000. Injured 28,000, killed 12,000, and out of those 12,000, 6,000 are children and missed children. The missed children, 1,250, are under the rubble of their homes. Okay? Remember that number. 40,000 killed or wounded within 4 weeks of Israeli attack on Gaza. It's a horrible apartheid number. And I made a calculation because on that 7th of October, there were 131, according to UN, 131 Israeli children killed. That is, of course, 131 too many. No kids should be killed in any conflict nowhere in the world. But that's the end number. No single child has been killed later on the Israeli side. And we have 6,000 Palestinian children killed or missing. If you do the math, it's a very simple number. For each killed Israeli child, the Israeli occupation army has killed 195 Palestinian children. 1 to 195. So one Palestinian life is worth barely 1/200 part of an Israeli life. And this is, of course, a cruel and crude apartheid number. We need to know the facts. We need to know the numbers. We need to confront our leaders with these numbers. And I'm not going to show you pictures of the dead children. And here are more numbers from the same report. And here, these are the people killed. Hundreds per day, 200, 250 per day. One child killed every 10 minutes, around the clock, around the clock, around the clock. One child every 10 minutes. 6 children per hour, around the clock, killing, killing, killing. With the back padding of the United States, with the back padding of almost all the governments in Europe. Here comes colonialism back. Here comes fascism back. The toxic combination of racism, of military power, and apartheid, and colonization of other people. To me, that has a name. It's called fascism because it has a disregard for life, and it has a disregard and disrespect for human value. That's the core of the politics against the Palestinians in Gaza. This is from the ambulance attack, and it was horrible, and it will be repeated, I think. They call on all parties to stand up and say something and do something, and all parties are paying lip service, and almost nothing is happening. Here I stand. I should have been in Gaza. There are hundreds of good teams that should have been in Gaza. Only a fraction is allowed in. So what is needed now, my friends? What is needed now? We need solidarity. We agree. We need activism. And it's not enough. And I'm so happy to see all of you tonight. It's not enough to push like on Facebook if there is a demonstration. And roll over to the side and attend to your remote control and have another glass of water or whatever you're drinking. You have to stand up, move your ass, and get going. You have to stand up, move your ass, and get going. Just like you have done tonight. So we need activism, we need action. I have a proposal. I'm not going to mingle into the elections in South Africa. I'm very respectful. I didn't say a word about President Morsi. No, not Morsi, the guy in Egypt. But I'll give you a little proposal. You know, you have a navy, right? You already called home the ambassador to Tel Aviv. That was very nice. But you have a navy. And Gaza has a 45-kilometer shoreline to the Mediterranean. What about you, your government, and a few other governments in South America set up a flotilla of Navy ships filled with water, blankets, food, medicine, and maybe 100 medical teams. Now you sail that convoy all the way, going to take a week, into the Mediterranean. You anchor up, you go into the shores of Gaza, and you empty that valuable cargo to the people of Gaza. Wouldn't that be beautiful? Wow. Is it possible? You know what Jordan did last week? Did you see what the state of Jordan did? They actually filled up a Hercules cargo plane, military, with medicine and supplies. And they did not ask permission from the occupying army. They flew it in. They were breaking the siege, flew it in and dropped it with parachutes into Gaza. All that supply. And I know it's true because I was invited to see Queen Rania last week. She is a smart lady, I tell you. Guys, we have to accept that ladies are, by and large, smarter than we are. I'm sorry to say, they are. So she said, we may be flying more cargo planes. And I said, is it true? Was it just a rumor? No, we did it, she said. She said, it was a public official meeting, and she also said that, we may do it again. I say, can I be on the passenger list? Because I want to jump out in a parachute over Gaza. And she said, we'll see. But the point is, my friends, the point is that there is no limit to what we can do. If we just don't let our brain be occupied by the occupier's fear and threats and limitations. And that's what they want to do with this labeling of people as Hamas or whatever. I don't care about who are the leaders of the Palestinian resistance. I respect their choice of leaders. And this Hamas labeling is extremely dangerous. You know what they did in 36, 38, 40 in Germany? They said, all evil on earth is caused by the Jews. Put a yellow star here and you can do what you want with them. That's what they're doing today. Anyone who resists Israel is called a Jew or Hamas. You see my point? This is a cruel repetition of history. And I agree, Gaza is not an open-air prison. It's a concentration camp. Because in prison, there are people who are convicted. Yeah. So we need to pressure the power. We need support for Gaza. And I repeat, so you can learn it by heart, solidarity is not an act of charity. It is an act of unity between people who fight on different terrains towards the same goal. No apartheid, no colonialism, equal possibilities for everyone, and equal value to anyone who lives on this earth. I see that you're getting a little bit tired. I understand that totally because I've been talking. And I'm just gonna end by a nice conclusion because now it's 10 to 10 and I guess it's a little bit too late to keep going. So let me not so elegantly conclude this. And here you see all the stories I wanted to tell you. All the stories. I'm going to just do one thing at the end. And a few slogans to end up with. As I said, I strongly believe that the... okay, here we go again. My patience is not very strong. Look at this number here. You have to forgive me. I am a researcher. I am a doctor. This graph is from WHO last year. It's showing life expectancy and how many kids are dying per 1,000 born kids and under 5 mortality, and how many mothers are dying during delivery and during the first week after delivery. And you see here how long can you live in Gaza compared to Israel? 9 years shorter. How many more children are dying in Gaza than in Israel? 4 times more. Under 5, 3.5 times more. Mothers dying during delivery and afterwards, 9 times more. These are not, you know what this is? This is man-made. This is medical apartheid. This is because the Palestinian people in Gaza is not allowed to have the same healthcare system as they have in Israel. They don't have radiation therapy for cancer. We've been working on that for 3 years to establish that at the Turkish hospital. You know, if you get breast cancer in Gaza, a woman, you know what her chance to live for 5 years is? It's barely 60%. In Norway, 98%. In Israel, 97%. Brutal numbers, brutal numbers. There is no difference between the biology, but the access to healthcare and the oppression of the people, this is medical apartheid. And the world leaders, they know all these numbers, and they know that these numbers are brutal consequences of an endless Israeli apartheid and settler colonialism and the siege of Gaza. So why are no sanctions or consequences imposed on the perpetrators? And this is one of the biggest moral problems in the world today. It is the Israeli impunity. They are never held accountable, and when the pit bull is not, kept in a chain and gets rabies as they have now, it's not possible to control it. Because Israel has this strong belief that there is no limit to what they can do. So we know all these reported research and documented facts. I've shown you some. And I think the reason why nothing is happening is this Israeli impunity, guaranteed, protected, and promoted by the United States. They are never held accountable. Had they been taken to the International Criminal Court, all their leaders would have been prosecuted and put to jail. I swear to God, that would have happened. And that must happen. Now they must go to the International Criminal Court and be held accountable. So we demand that. And my last slide is my most important slide when I talk about this in Europe and in the United States. I lecture a lot in the United States. Because everybody says, oh, this is such a difficult conflict. Oh, don't give me a headache. It's such a difficult conflict. This is not a difficult conflict. This is a difficult occupation. And we want an end to the occupation. We want an end to colonialism, to racism and apartheid. Long live Palestine. Long live the struggle. And free Gaza. Kuluna Gaza. Shukran iktir. Yalla for Gaza. All of us. Thank you. Thank you.